First contact gone wrong. The ancient ruins of Kepler 186 have stretched before Dr. Sarah Winters like a metallic forest, crystalline spires reaching toward the rust-colored sky. She adjusted her environment suit's filters, watching the swirling dust devils dance between structures that had stood silent for millennia. The expedition had been her life's work, proving that intelligent life had once thrived in this sector of space. Now, after 3 years of careful excavation, she stood at the threshold of something unprecedented. Base, this is Winters. I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from Chamber Delta. Permission to proceed with initial scan. Her voice echoed in her helmet, steady despite her racing heart. Proceed with caution, Doctor. Remember protocol. Dr. Chen's voice crackled through the comm, ever the voice of reason. Sarah approached the sealed doorway, its surface etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift in the dying sunlight. Her scanner hummed, analyzing the composition of the barrier. These readings, they're unlike anything we've seen. The metal appears to be actively responding to external stimuli. The door's surface rippled like mercury, responding to her proximity. Sarah held her breath as hairline fractures appeared in its seemingly solid surface, spreading outward in a mesmerizing pattern. The barrier began to dissolve, revealing a chamber bathed in soft blue light. "My God," she whispered, stepping through the threshold. "Base, are you getting this?" The chamber was vast, its walls lined with thousands of crystalline pods, each pulsing with a faint inner light. Her scanner went wild, detecting life signs, impossible life signs, from within the structures. They weren't just storage units or decorative elements. They were stasis chambers. "Dr. Winters, we're detecting multiple anomalies. Recommend immediate withdrawal until we can." The rest of Chen's warning was lost as the nearest pod surface cleared, revealing its occupant. A tall, elegant creature floated in suspension, its iridescent skin shifting colors even in stasis. Multiple arms were folded peacefully across its chest, and what appeared to be neural filaments extended from its elongated head like a crown. "They're still alive," Sarah breathed, watching as more pods began to activate. After all this time, they're actually. A violent tremor shook the chamber, and Sarah stumbled, catching herself against one of the pods. Warning lights flashed across her HUD as her suit detected multiple ships entering the atmosphere, ships that weren't part of their expedition. "Base, we have incoming. Multiple vessels, military grade. They're not ours. Corporate raiders." Chen's voice was grim. "NovaCorp's private army. They must have been monitoring our transmissions. Dr. Winters, get out of there now." But Sarah couldn't move. The pod she touched was growing warmer beneath her hand, its surface becoming transparent. The being inside opened its eyes, brilliant, multifaceted orbs that fixed on her with unmistakable intelligence. More pods were activating, their occupants stirring from ancient sleep. The chamber's lighting shifted from blue to amber as proximity alarms screamed through her comm. The corporate ships were landing, no doubt filled with mercenaries eager to claim whatever technology they could find. They wouldn't care about preservation or first contact protocols. They wouldn't care about the beings waking up around her. Sarah made her decision in that moment, reaching for the emergency beacon on her belt. This site, these beings, they deserve protection, not exploitation. If NovaCorp wanted to get their hands on this discovery, they'd have to go through her first. "Base, patch me through to Earth Command. Priority 1. She activated her suit's defensive systems, positioning herself between the awakening pods and the chamber entrance. "And get me everything we have on NovaCorp's tactical protocols. If they want to fight, we'll give them one they'll never forget." The first pod opened completely, its occupant emerging with fluid grace. The beam towered over Sarah, its neural filaments glowing with patterns that seemed to pulse in time with her heartbeat. It raised a hand, finger-like appendages extending toward her faceplate. Contact was inevitable now. But it wouldn't happen on NovaCorp's terms. Sarah had spent her life searching for proof of intelligent life among the stars. She wasn't about to let humanity's first interaction with a living alien species be defined by corporate greed. The chamber rumbled again as more ships entered the atmosphere. Sarah activated her suit's universal translator and addressed the being before her. "I don't know if you can understand me, but we don't have much time. My name is Dr. Sarah Winters, and I'm here to help." The alien's neural filaments brightened, and a voice echoed in Sarah's mind, not through her comm, but directly in her consciousness. "We are the Nexari. And after 50,000 years of sleep, we find ourselves in need of allies." More pods were opening now, more Nexari awakening to a world that had changed beyond recognition. Sarah could hear the sound of dropships landing outside the ruins. Time was running out. Then let's show them why picking a fight with two species was a very bad idea. Sarah checked her weapon systems, already formulating plans. The corporate raiders were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating both human determination and alien technology. The Nexari's neural filaments pulsed with what Sarah somehow knew was agreement. First contact had just become a lot more complicated, and a lot more dangerous. The price of protection. The ancient chamber shuddered as explosions rocked the surface. Sarah's HUD flashed with multiple warnings as her suit detected incoming hostiles. But her attention was fixed on the scene unfolding before her. Dozens of Nexari emerging from their stasis pods, their neural filaments creating a mesmerizing light show that danced across the chamber walls. "Your kind seeks to claim what is not theirs," the first Nexari communicated, its thoughts carrying undertones of both sadness and determination. "They do not understand what they risk." Sarah watched as more pods activated, but these were different. Smaller. "Those aren't adult Nexari, are they?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "Our children," the Nexari confirmed. "The last generation of our species. We entered stasis when our son began to die, protecting our young until we could find a new home." Another explosion rocked the chamber, closer this time. Sarah's comm crackled with Dr. Chen's voice. "Winters, NovaCorp forces are breaching the outer perimeter. They're using military-grade weapons. This isn't a salvage operation. It's an invasion." Sarah watched as the adult Nexari moved protectively around the pods containing their young. Their neural filaments pulsed with patterns she was beginning to recognize as agitation. "How many children?" 327, the Nexari answered. "Too young to survive early awakening. Too precious to abandon." Sarah's mind raced through options. The chamber's defenses might hold against a direct assault, but not forever. And with children involved, the stakes had just risen exponentially. "Base, what's our backup situation?" Earth Command is scrambling response teams, but they're hours out. Local security forces are being blocked by NovaCorp's legal team. "We're on our own." A harsh laugh escaped Sarah's lips. "When are we not?" She turned to the Nexari. "I need to know everything about this facility's defensive capabilities. Now." The Nexari's neural filaments flickered with what might have been approval. "We did not survive as a species by leaving our sanctuaries unprotected. But many systems lie dormant. They require specific activation." The chamber's entrance exploded inward in a shower of ancient metal and crystal. Sarah's suit automatically polarized her visor against the debris. Through the smoke, she could see armored figures advancing, weapons raised. "Final warning." A mechanically enhanced voice boomed. "This site is now under NovaCorp authority. Surrender and prepare for evacuation." Sarah stepped forward, positioning herself between the mercenaries and the Nexari pods. "This site is a protected synorchaeological discovery under Earth Command jurisdiction. Stand down." Dr. Winters, the lead mercenary's helmet retracted, revealing a scared face and cold eyes. "NovaCorp's board has invested too much in tracking your expedition to leave empty-handed. Don't force us to do this the hard way." Behind her, Sarah felt rather than saw the Nexari preparing for battle. Their neural filaments blazed with colors she hadn't seen before, patterns that made her instincts scream danger. "You know what I love about corporate mercenaries." Sarah's hand moved to her suit's control panel. "You always think you're the most dangerous thing in the room." The Nexary's thoughts touched her mind again. The defense grid requires human genetic material to activate, a failsafe, installed by those who came before. Sarah didn't hesitate. She pressed her palm against the nearest wall panel, feeling a sharp sting as the ancient technology sampled her DNA. The chamber hummed to life around them, hidden machinery awakening after millennia of silence. Last chance to walk away, she called to the mercenaries. There are children here. Don't make me show you why humans have a galaxy-wide reputation for being absolutely terrifying when kids are threatened. The mercenary commander's response was to level his weapon. Take them all. Corporate will sort out what's valuable. Sarah's palm burned where it touched the panel, but she smiled. Wrong answer. The chamber's lights shifted from amber to deep red. Let me show you why some ruins are better left undisturbed. The walls came alive with ancient weapons, targeting systems that had waited 50,000 years to defend their charges once again. But this time, they responded to human commands, guided by human determination to protect the innocent. As chaos erupted in the chamber, Sarah realized this was more than just a fight for survival. It was humanity's first real test in the galactic community, a chance to prove that not all advanced species were driven by greed and conquest. The Nexary moved in perfect synchronization with the defense systems, their neural filaments creating barriers of pure energy. Sarah's suit systems integrated with the ancient technology, giving her control of defenses that made Novacorp's weapons look like toys. For our children, the Nexary communicated. For all children, Sarah responded, unleashing the full power of humanity's alliance with an ancient species that had chosen to trust them. The mercenaries were about to learn why some boundaries should never be crossed, and why protecting the innocent was a universal constant that transcended species and time itself. Sanctuary under siege. The ancient chamber had become a battlefield. Energy weapons crisscrossed through clouds of crystalline dust as Novacorp forces pressed their attack. Sarah's suit systems were integrated with the ruins' defenses, giving her unprecedented control over technology that had waited millennia to be awakened. Fall back to the inner sanctum. Sarah commanded through her neural link with the defense grid. Automated turrets provided covering fire as the Nexary moved their children's stasis pods deeper into the facility. Her HUD highlighted structural weak points, plotting the safest evacuation route. They're bringing in heavy equipment. Dr. Chen's voice crackled through her comm. Orbital scans show multiple dropships incoming. These aren't just mercenaries anymore. They're deploying their elite forces. The lead Nexary, whom Sarah had started calling Azure due to their shifting color patterns, moved beside her. Their neural filaments created intricate patterns that her suit's systems were learning to interpret as language. The deep chambers will provide better protection, Azure communicated. But we risk being trapped. Sarah watched as another wave of mercenaries tried to breach their position. The ruins' defensive systems responded automatically, ancient weapons reducing modern combat armor to slag. But for every attacker they stopped, two more took their place. Better trapped than exposed, Sarah replied, directing a series of energy barriers to cover their retreat. How many pods remain in the outer chamber? 17. Azure's thoughts carried undertones of worry. The transport mechanisms are slower than anticipated. 50,000 years have taken their toll. Another explosion rocked the chamber as Novacorp forces deployed sonic disruptors. The ruins' shields held, but Sarah could feel the strain through her neural link. They were dealing with weapons specifically designed to breach ancient defenses. Dr. Winters, a new voice cut through her comm channel. Smooth, cultured, dangerous. This is Director Matthews of Novacorp Special Operations. I'm prepared to offer you a very generous compensation package in exchange for cooperation. Sarah directed the defense grid to intercept another wave of attackers while buying time for the remaining pods to be transported. Let me guess, enough credits to retire comfortably on any planet I choose. Indeed, plus full academic recognition for your discoveries. All we require is access to the alien technology. Surely you understand the potential benefits to humanity. A bitter laugh escaped Sarah's lips. You mean the potential benefits to Novacorp's weapons division. She watched as Azure coordinated the other Nexari, their movements graceful despite the chaos around them. The answer is no. Then you leave us no choice. Matthew's voice hardened. Be advised that any resistance will be met with extreme force. Novacorp holds salvage rights to this sector. Sarah checked her suit's power levels as she helped guide another stasis pod to safety. Here's a counteroffer, Director. Withdraw your forces, and I won't have to demonstrate why threatening children, any children, in front of a human is historically considered a terminal mistake. The response came in the form of a concentrated barrage that made the entire chamber shudder. Sarah's neural link with the defense grid screamed warnings as multiple systems redlined. They're targeting the structural supports. Azure communicated urgently. They intend to bring down the entire complex. Sarah's mind raced through options. The ruins' defenses were powerful, but designed to repel external threats. A calculated collapse of the chamber would bypass most of their advantages. Base, what's the status on those Earth Command reinforcements? Still 3 hours out at best, Chen replied. Local authorities are being held back by Novacorp legal teams claiming corporate sovereignty. Sarah watched as the last stasis pod was moved to safety. The Nexari had formed a protective circle around their children, their neural filaments pulsing with determination and fear. Azure, you said this facility had secrets. Sarah's hands flew over her suit's control panel, interfacing deeper with the ancient systems. Time to use them. Show me everything. No holds barred. The Nexari's neural patterns shifted to something new, a combination of hope and warning. There are weapons we chose not to use, powers we sealed away. The cost. The cost doesn't matter. Sarah interrupted as another explosion rocked the chamber. They're trying to kill children. Show me. Azure's neural filaments connected directly with Sarah's suit, bypassing the normal interface protocols. Information flooded her mind, schematics, activation codes, warnings written in languages that died before humans learned to make fire. By the stars, Sarah whispered as she understood what she was seeing. You didn't just build this facility to protect your children. You built it to protect the galaxy from what's inside. Yes, Azure confirmed. And now you understand why we slept for so long. Why we waited for a species worthy of this responsibility. Sarah felt the weight of 50,000 years of history pressing down on her. The ruins weren't just a sanctuary. They were a vault containing power that could reshape worlds. Power that had driven the Nexari to choose eternal sleep rather than risk its misuse. Through her neural link, she could feel Novacorp's forces preparing for their final assault. They had no idea what they were about to unleash. Last chance, Director. Sarah broadcast on all frequencies. Withdraw or face the consequences. Matthew's response was predictably arrogant. Proceed with full breaching protocols. No survivors necessary. Sarah looked at the Nexari children, peaceful in their stasis pods, then at the adults who had sacrificed everything to protect them. Her decision was already made. Azure, she said quietly, show me how to wake it up. The chamber's lights shifted to a color she had never seen before as ancient machinery began to stir. Novacorp was about to learn why some powers were meant to stay buried, and why humanity's protective instincts had earned them both respect and fear across the galaxy. The human element. The deep chamber thrummed with power that made Sarah's teeth ache. Ancient machinery, dormant for 50 millennia, awakened under her command. Through her neural link, she could feel the facility's systems integrating, building towards something that both thrilled and terrified her. Security protocols disengage. Azure communicated, their neural filaments pulsing with complex patterns. The core awaits your input. Before them stood a pillar of shifting light, its surface rippling with equations and symbols from a dozen dead civilizations. Sarah recognized fragments of mathematics that predated human writing, theories that humankind had only begun to grasp. What exactly am I activating? Sarah asked, though part of her already knew the answer. A gift, Azure replied, left by those who came before. those who saw humanity's potential long ago. Another explosion rocked the chamber as Novacorp forces pressed their attack. Sarah's HUD flashed warnings. Their defensive perimeter was failing. They had minutes at most. The facility's primary systems are powered by a quantum fold generator. Azure explained. Technology beyond even our understanding. But it was designed to respond to human neural patterns. Sarah's mind raced with implications. You're saying humans have been part of this plan since before we learned to make fire. Your species was chosen. Your protective instincts, your capacity for both creation and destruction, your ability to face impossible odds. These were not accidents of evolution. Through her neural link, Sarah felt Novacorp's heavy weapons powering up. They were preparing for a final assault that would breach even the deep chamber's defenses. Dr. Winters. Matthew's voice cut through her calm. Our sensors detect massive energy buildups. Whatever you're planning, stop now. You have no idea what forces you're dealing with. Sarah laughed, a sound that carried all the fury of humanity pushed too far. That's where you're wrong, Corrector. For once, we know exactly what we're doing. She pressed her hand against the pillar of light. Information flooded her consciousness. The true history of human development, guided by ancient watchers who saw potential in a species that refused to abandon its young, that would fight impossible odds to protect the innocent. Your genetic key is accepted. Azure communicated. The core responds to your command. Sarah felt power beyond imagination at her fingertips. The quantum fold generator didn't just power the facility's defenses, it could reshape local space-time itself. No wonder the Nexari had chosen to sleep rather than risk its misuse. Last warning. Matthew's broadcast. Stand down or be destroyed. Sarah's response was to activate the core. Energy cascaded through the chamber as 50,000 years of stored power was channeled through human consciousness. Her mind expanded, touching every system, every defense, every particle of the ancient facility. You threaten children. Sarah's voice echoed with harmonics that made the mercenaries' weapons shake apart in their hands. You tried to steal technology you don't understand. You thought you could simply take whatever you wanted. The chamber's walls became transparent, revealing the true nature of the facility. Not just a bunker, but a nexus point where multiple dimensions intersected. Through her enhanced perception, Sarah could see the mercenaries' fear as they realized how outmatched they truly were. The difference between humans and you, Sarah continued, directing the facility's power with instincts she didn't know she possessed, is that we understand the responsibility that comes with power. We know when to use it, and more importantly, when not to. Space itself began to warp around the Novacorp forces. Their weapons, their armor, their very molecules were being systematically disassembled and reconstructed. Delu, what are you doing? Matthew's voice shook with genuine fear. Showing you mercy, Sarah replied. Because that's another thing that makes humans different. We protect children, any children, but we also believe in second chances. The quantum fold generator reached full power. In an instant, every Novacorp soldier found themselves transported, not killed or injured, but relocated to their own ships in high orbit, their weapons and armor transformed into basic environmental suits. Consider this a lesson, Sarah broadcast to the retreating forces. The galaxy is bigger than your profit margins. The next time you think about threatening children, remember what happened here. Remember what humans are capable of when pushed too far. Azure's neural patterns radiated approval. You used godlike power to spare your enemies. Now you understand why your species was chosen. Sarah felt the quantum fold generator powering down, its energy returning to dormant levels. Her consciousness contracted, returning to normal human parameters. She was exhausted but satisfied. Earth command vessels detected. Dr. Chen's voice crackled through her comm. ETA 20 minutes. Novacorp ships are retreating from the system. Sarah looked at the Nexari children, still peaceful in their stasis pods, then at their parents whose neural filaments pulsed with gratitude and respect. So, she said with a tired smile, about that first contact protocol. Legacy of two species. 3 months after what historians would later call the Kepler incident, Sarah stood before the Galactic Council. The Grand Chamber on Europa Station hummed with the murmurs of 100 species as she prepared to present her findings. Beside her, Azure's neural filaments created patterns of calm reassurance. The Council recognizes Dr. Sarah Winters, announced the Chief Administrator, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate crystalline shell. You may proceed with your testimony regarding the events at Kepler 186. Sarah activated her presentation, filling the chamber with holographic displays of the ancient facility. Honorable representatives, 3 months ago, humanity made first contact with the Nexari species. What we discovered wasn't just an ancient civilization in stasis. We found proof that humanity's development has been part of a grand design spanning 50,000 years. The chamber erupted in discussion. Sarah waited for the noise to settle before continuing. The facility on Kepler 186f wasn't simply a refuge. It was a test site, created by an ancient race we now call the predecessors. They seeded countless worlds with potential, waiting to see which species would prove worthy of their legacy. Azure stepped forward, their neural filaments creating displays that complemented Sarah's presentation. Humanity was chosen. They communicated to the assembled delegates, not for their technology or their military might, but for their fundamental nature. Their instinct to protect, their willingness to face impossible odds in defense of the innocent. The NovaCorp representative, newly appointed after the previous board's resignation, shifted uncomfortably in their seat. The corporation's attempted seizure of the facility had cost them dearly in both credits and reputation. The quantum fold technology recovered from the facility, Sarah continued, represents power beyond our current understanding. But more importantly, it represents a choice. When faced with godlike power, humanity's first instinct was to use it for protection, not destruction. Holograms showed the facility's defensive systems, the stasis pods, the quantum core that had allowed Sarah to rewrite local physics. But they also showed something else. Records of human development through the ages, watched and guided by unseen observers. The predecessors left us a message, Sarah said, activating the final display. Ancient symbols transformed into modern language. To those who protect the future, we entrust our legacy. The power to shape worlds means nothing without the wisdom to know when not to use it. Azure's neural filaments created a symphony of light as they addressed the council. We chose to sleep until we found worthy allies. In humanity, we found not just protectors, but kindred spirits. They understand, as we do, that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the choice to preserve. Sarah watched as the council members digested this information. The implications were staggering. Humanity had been part of a plan spanning millennia, chosen not for their aggression or technological advancement, but for their fundamental capacity for protection and mercy. In light of these events, the chief administrator announced, the Council recognizes the joint human-Nexari claim to the Kepler facility. Furthermore, we acknowledge humanity's role as guardians of the predecessor legacy, with all rights and responsibilities therein. As the chamber filled with the sound of approval, Sarah felt a gentle touch in her mind. Azure sharing their people's joy and gratitude. The Nexari children were awakening gradually, emerging into a galaxy where they would grow up alongside human children, two species united by their shared values. There will be more tests. Azure communicated privately to Sarah. Other facilities, other challenges. The predecessors left many such trials throughout the galaxy. Sarah smiled, thinking of the future ahead. A future where humanity's protective instincts would help guide a new generation of both species. Then we'll face them together. After all, someone needs to keep an eye on the kids. The chamber's lighting shifted to colors visible only to human eyes, the predecessors' final gift to their chosen inheritors. As delegates from 100 worlds discussed the implications of these revelations, Sarah realized that humanity's reputation for being terrifying protectors had just become a cornerstone of galactic peace. You know what the best part is? She asked Azure as they left the council chamber. What is that? We prove that humanity's scariest trait isn't our capacity for violence, it's our capacity for mercy. Because nothing terrifies would-be aggressors more than an enemy who's powerful enough to destroy them, but chooses not to. Azure's neural filaments pulsed with what Sarah had learned to recognize as laughter. Above them, Europa Station's vast windows showed Earth rising over Jupiter's clouds, a reminder of how far humanity had come and the incredible journey that still lay ahead. The legacy of two species, one ancient, one young, both united by their fundamental drive to protect, would reshape the galaxy. Not through force or fear, but through the most powerful force in existence, the unwavering determination to defend those who cannot defend themselves.